Poetry is a conversation, so if you like what you hear up here, let the poet know. We're doing this so we can feel support. If something is triggering to you, and you do not like what you hear upstage, the door's open, feel free to leave, get smoke, do what you need.
Remember us knowing together.
So when somebody's up on here spilling their guts and being courageous enough to talk about their vulnerabilities, let's be polite. All right, can we do that too? All right.
She was selling flowers on the street, making an honest living, not hurting anyone.
Because I don't want to find security in my social insecurities that you say are rightfully mine.
Go ahead and build the wall as high as you can. We'll be underneath anyways.
But you bombarded her with hate. A vile villainy spread through your body as you kicked her to the ground, your foot on her back, her knees bare.
Life isn't worth gambling on happiness when you're a bad gambler and your funds were insufficient anyway.
We'll continue to hold hands and escape together through shallow mixtures of blood and water, singing songs of glory. Oh my Lord, 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 Lord.
Poetry to me isn't one word. It's a culmination of spirit, of spiritual experiences, of pain, of pleasure, of emotion.
Authentic emotion. Just pure, unadulterated emotion.
It's something that comes from you. The ability to not hold back.
And all in one setting. It's all in one moment. It's who you are at its most vulnerable. I discovered poetry when I was a senior in high school. I first wrote about my own incident from when I was 12. I was writing it and it just kind of came out on paper. I didn't even know it was still with me. That's the thing, poetry kind of keeps the heavy on the paper instead of just weighing down on yourself all the time. And it's funny because it weighed down on me for years. I didn't even know that. It was just a release. Like I just was so concerned with the things going around in the world that I just wanted to let out, and that's all I wanted to do. I let it out and I was like, since when was I thinking about this? And it just flowed, and that was the first time I started writing poetry, and it was the first time I knew what this was something I always want to do. Like it was amazing to me.
I started writing poetry when I was in high school. And yeah, the first ones, they were all shitty high school poems. I don't think any of my poems in high school, and I still have them, I have them on a flash drive or something, or somewhere written down and physically. And I read back at them like, oh, this is trash. When I write poems, it comes out of a place of frustration, of oppression, of marginalization, or some sort of discrimination that is going on towards Latinx individuals, Mexican Americans, and immigrants, and hope for a representation of my own people. Seldom do I write about myself as a focal point. If I do put myself in the story, I only put it as a story aspect, as just tell a story so people can center it around something.
I had written poetry for my own self as a middle schooler. I'd always been a personal fan of it, but I didn't realize that there was a genre for it in Kansas City. And then a really dear friend of mine introduced me to it one night, and I believe it was a slam night. And just the feeling that I got from listening to these authentic artists up there, just giving it all they had. The emotion that came off the stage, the feeling that they gave, without regard to whatever judge was in the audience, it was something that was so beautiful. And I was able to go home that night and realize that there's something inside of me that has been silenced for way, way too long that needed to be brought back to life.
There's two facets to spoken word. There's poetry and there's performance. Performance connects you to the artist through their body, and poetry connects you to the artist through their mind. Both of these are windows into the artist's soul.
Since when did we become flag over family, forged in the fire of perseverance?
And together, this perfect marriage of spoken word and the intimacy of such an art is the greatest I can imagine. Garden poetry is in a place that I fell in love with, Manheim Park Community Garden. It all started with a Third Thursday concert there at the Garden. I went up and performed 3 pieces. They loved it so much that they wanted an encore, and that love was just so tremendous that I couldn't see anything else to do next but put on a show. All the people in the poetry community that came out to enjoy garden poetry, I mean, they all just have so much love in their hearts and so much fire and ambition in their art that, I mean, it was perfect.
Thank you all. Thank you for coming.
Without poetry, I don't know where I'd be. To be honest, I was going through a lot. I went through a lot last year, and without poetry and without the people surrounding poetry that I've been around, it would have consumed me. I would have been a raging anger, filled to the brim with only just why, and it allowed me to speak that and then to put it away, to be able to let other people carry the weight with me.
This legacy knocks on my throat every time I speak, and my tongue reincarnates a Negro spiritual. Every time I sing to remember I got some soul left in me. I speak because my heart beats an anthem, and I pledge allegiance to this survival. I sing.
It can be whatever it means to you in that moment. It can be something to release. It can be something to enjoy. It can be something to, just be a part of.
So let it burn. Let it burn. Maybe God will finally bless the ashes of this burning tree.
Yes.
And as a poet, whenever someone tells me that they felt something, it's the best feeling in the world. I did one of my poems as an undergraduate for a Black Student Association at my college called Love and Soul during Black History Month, and they asked me to perform a poem. The poem I chose was Para mis padres, which translates to For My Parents, which I also read at Manheim Park Garden Poetry.
So this is my apology for my parents, and it's titled Para mis padres. I have seen your broken and tired backs. Watch the weariness settle in your eyes, yet you continue to get up again, persevering through countless hardships.
And that one is one of the earliest pieces, and which showcases my turmoil of hate.
With eyes that have seen the horrors they put you through, the injustice they made you go through. Why do I have to look them in the eyes and forgive them? I don't want peace, I want justice, not for myself, but for you. Because you are the ones who deserve it.
And trying to move on and pass that hate into acceptance and love from people that not have necessarily hurt me, but have definitely hurt my parents and the older generation that's living in this country. And an older Black man came up to me and he hugged me and he looked me in the eyes and told me, I remember that. I was right there with you, man. I was right there with you. I know what you're feeling. And that was the first time that anyone had ever responded to one of my poems. And I felt something authentic. And ever since then, I've always been chasing that feeling of connection with whoever it is from any background. What matters is that we were connected through words, that we were able to make that connection.
There was this really good friend of mine at the time. His name was Joe. He just on a whim one night, we went to this beautiful place off Broadway Boulevard, Uptown Arts Bar. And I sat there just relishing in the feelings that I got from every individual artist.
I remember the corners of your mouth, how they touched your ears that morning.
I'm not delicate no matter how fragile I may be.
And I'm smart enough to know that block sales only gets you cell blocks.
You do not allow me to have peace within my heart.
Strong and weak and other things besides, trying to find a place where hope resides.
Burned to the ground with his old life stuck inside.
I'd already surrendered my dreams, and that made me sad enough to be one of them.
No matter what you look like, no matter who you are, everyone here will accept it. And they will know the deepest parts about you. They will love the deepest parts about you. They will share the deepest parts of them with you. I've never been a part of anything this beautiful.
I've been writing poetry for a while, and I thought, there's got to be some kind of poetry slam in Kansas City. So I Googled it, and there it was, Uptown Arts Bar. Pretty much scared shitless at first. Somebody here tonight was saying, oh, this is my first night, I'm real scared. And I said to her, you lucky dog, you. You're at that beginning point, where everything is possible. And honor that. That's pretty valuable, really. When you get to know what you're doing, you're friggin' bored to yourself and everybody else, right? The interesting part is when you don't know what the hell's going on.
Everybody's super personable, even in the audience. And it's really quiet and intimate, small venue, but there's so many people on the slam nights that it's just packed the whole night. It's just packed. If you don't get here by 9 p.m., you can't get a seat because there's so many people, which is amazing.
I was quite nervous to be here because of that fact. But once I was on stage and once I, felt all of the comfort and support from the community in this place, I just knew I needed to come back. I've met so many amazing people just from poetry here.
Here you can say anything and everyone will fully listen with open ears. It's something very unique and personal about it. And when you start relationships off with that kind of beginning, that kind of ground, it really generates a sort of family atmosphere that some people may have not experienced before.
The community aspect allows you to kind of catch up on people's lives through their stories, through their poems. You're actually able to see somebody progress. They have a couple of heartbreak poems into a found somebody poem, into a love poem, or into I'm doing better, I can make it on my own poem. You get to see people's growth, and I think that's the biggest thing. That is the glue. That's what keeps people coming back.
I can't hold back and I can't stay away. It's become an addiction almost to me. The way that, somebody would be addicted to any substance. This art, this place is just, is something I hold dear to my soul.
It's a good place to be at. And I wouldn't be where I am right now if I weren't for Uptown Arts Bar.
I'm worse than you. Relax the crowd of beatbox while I freestyle for 15 minutes.
I'm a person who loves people. I love human beings. And to see new faces, to see anyone experience what I've felt in this bar every Wednesday, I want to share that same feeling in every moment that people come in through the door. And I think this is the great place to do it. Uptown Arts Bar.
Let's talk about the first poet coming to the stage, named Abe Fernandez. Welcome Abe to the stage.
Right before I speak, there's a moment, there's a pause. And that feeling I have is just a rush of emotion, a rush of adrenaline. It's just a release. And all that energy just comes tumbling out.
I'm going to give the stage to Tokyo, our host.
I'm not gonna lie, it's scary. It's almost like crap. It's that panic, but then as you're speaking and you see the audience, or you might see somebody in the audience, I see that and I'm like, no, I want to make sure that I hit home with these people.
I would like to read a poem.
Being on that stage is the best time to shine. It's also about just relating to people, because that first time you see people get up on stage, you're introduced to this community and this art.
Love without attraction, truth without distraction, you and yours, me and we, together, in absolution, contraband love together.
You're helping to paint the picture of someone else's life, of your life, of everyone's lives. It's all about sharing.
Andrea, you ready?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
That moment they call my name, it gives me such an immediate rush, and I'm never ready for it. But I get up there, and there's just this part of me that just takes over that I'm not used to. I'll never get used to it.
So let's just go with something that I've only performed once up here, so let's call it semi-new shit.
Semi-new shit.
So it's called You Make Me Feel. We've been bonded together forever, ever since I was a child. But if I could, I would physically fuck happiness just to piss you off. Because at some point I missed the memo where my company was sold as stocks and bonds to a corporation of emotional solitude. Because I don't want to find security in my social insecurities that you say are rightfully mine. And deservedly so. Because woe to me, I'm not going to be what that 7-year-old little girl said she wanted to see 20 years ago.
Depending on the poem that you're going to read that night, you take that feeling you have and you embrace it, and then everybody else around you, they collect that feeling and they hold your hand in it. And you get through the night. I mean, it's something that just gets me through week by week. Sometimes I can't make it through the week without coming back.
There's no other more naked feeling than performing poetry on stage. To me, unless you're literally naked, it's an addicting feeling, but in the same way, it's actually something that brings you peace with what you're talking about. I can't tell you how good it felt the first time I felt like I was heard by the audience, like when they were resonating with everything, when they were hooping and hollering, snaps.
I just feel that, it's that snaps thing.
Snaps for days.
Claps.
You're just like, yes.
Stomping of feet.
You're just like, holy shit, these people care. This isn't like a facade, it's one person after another. When they feel you emphasize on a line or a part that your emotions are very raw, people are snapping. They're not just waiting to the end. They feel what you feel.
It's just the noise that we hear from the audience lets us know that they are relating to what we say. Maybe if someone knows what you're going through or they go through the same thing, they will resonate with it more. And on their drive home, they want to sit with the words you've said. They want to sit with maybe how they've acted towards people. So it's a mutual connection. It's a conversation. And that kind of moment is group healing. It's group therapy, but free group therapy.
The friends I've made and the people I've connected to, who have all their own stories and their own ways of doing things, it's a whole new life. And Manheim Park Community Garden and the Uptown Arts Bar, I couldn't live without either of those two things. Not anymore.
We'll continue to hold hands and escape together through shallow mixtures of blood and water, singing songs of glory. Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord. Oh, my Lord, 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 Lord. Thank you. My name's Darian Case, and I appreciate all of you for coming to support all the poets that are performing tonight. We'll have more open mic and more features, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you.
From here, I want to see reverence. I want to see people freak out about this art. I want to see people perform and travel to see these shows.
What I want to see is more venues embracing this. I want to see more outlets opening up to where it's not just one spot on a midweek night, but it's, maybe 5 spots almost every night of the week where people can go and they can embrace each other and they can embrace their ideas and they can open up about what they're suffering through.
I'd want to see more venues in the future, and that's where I want poetry to go. Just more and more venues, larger venues, poetry festivals. I want more people, more young people especially, get them when they're young, to start writing more poems, to express themselves. Because some kids think, like, oh, I can't play music well, I'm not a good athlete, I can't sing well, or whatever they think they don't know how to do. But I definitely feel like everyone can write a poem. Everyone has a poem, everyone has a story to tell. I want more people to write poetry, and I want more people to see poetry in a larger venue.
All I want is for people to share this feeling of acceptance, this feeling of knowing that this is where you belong. It's what I call home every day, honestly. My parents don't even live in this country, so when they moved, I instantly found a new family to be a part of, and I'm never gonna take that for granted. Not one day of my life.